Hey, what's happening, people? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. I do hope you are all doing well today, mate. I really do hope that. Welcome back to Chelsea News, the daily series right here on Football Therapy, where I go across football news media, give you the lowdown of what's being said about Chelsea Football Club, offering you my opinion on the subject matter, but hey, more importantly, asking for yours. And today there's a bunch of stuff to talk about. Chelsea, well, there's been a trio of Chelsea players called up to the England squad. The Champions League draw is going on right now. I will probably talk about that on Jan's Yard on Chatting Balls. Chelsea have currently got Sevilla, which is pretty darn decent start. Anyway, I digress. I also want to talk about the transfer window. Chelsea will still see some outgoings, a couple of shock potential outgoings as well, about Fikayo Tomori actually wanting to leave Chelsea on loan, and how Chelsea could sell Antonio Rudiger to Tottenham, which is mad. I don't know how to feel about that. And Ruben Loftus-Cheek, how much he would cost as a loan package, apparently around £8 million. And there's a bunch of stuff to get into, so it's a really interesting video today. If you do like my content, please do drop a like on the video. That supports me, man. Let's try and get a bunch of likes on today's video. Thank you very much. And of course, I want to remind you guys, if you want to subscribe to Football Therapy. You might like it. Daily content. We're nearly 100,000 subscribers. Incredible scenes. Please do consider dropping a subscribe. Dropping a subscribe? You get the point. Let's move on. Alright, let's start with the England call-ups. Ben Chilwell, only just deemed fit, immediately gets called up by Gareth Southgate. I mean, hope maybe just to train with the England squad, run around, get reintegrated after a long injury. Let's be real, Ben Chilwell is England's starting left back, and it's good that he's immediately back in Gareth Southgate's thoughts, even though it would be nice to keep him around Cobham to train, actually have a bit of a pre-season almost. But hell, fair enough. And the other two youngsters that have been called up by Gareth Southgate are Mason Mount and Tammy Abraham. Mason Mount is, he's been ever present for Chelsea Football Club. Gareth Southgate has long been an admirer of the young central midfielder and has seen him throughout the age groups. So that kind of makes sense. It's nice to see Tammy given his chance still. And hopefully, over time, you'll see more and more Chelsea players getting called up to the England squad, and indeed their respective international clubs. Hopefully loads of Chelsea players become internationals. Anyway, England call-ups out the way, let's move into some tasty transfer news. Need to shout out my boys on the London is Blue podcast, as they had Matt Law, super journalist, on again in today's episode. Do go check out the London is Blue podcast. He said some very interesting things that I want to reiterate and regurgitate in today's Chelsea news video. Of course, Aston Villa have got Ross Barkley on loan, but they were torn between Ross Barkley and Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who reportedly were both available. They went with Ross Barkley because in terms of fitness and injury record, it's pretty darn immaculate if you compare it to Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who is of course held in a really high regard in terms of his natural footballing ability by not just Aston Villa, loads of clubs in the Premier League and indeed around Europe. And it's reported that Ruben Loftus-Cheek is still available for a loan, leaving Chelsea rather short on midfielders, but it's not unfeasible, and they do need to shave down this squad and lower wages. Plus, with Ruben Loftus-Cheek, it gives the player, who's still a young player, the ability to play at the top level, week in, week out, not needing to prove himself and be rotated in, just given the time, given the opportunity, and the man can play football and basically turn back into the wonderful baller that really he is. The thing is with Ruben Loftus-Cheek, the entire loan package costs £8 million for the season, which you can make your mind up, is that expensive, is that not expensive? But I think provided you get a fully fit Ruben Loftus-Cheek all season, most clubs would go into that for £8 million because he can offer so much. But with him at the moment, the truth is it just comes with so much injury risk. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with Ruben, if he does get the loan move or not, or if he just ends up staying at Chelsea. But I think he deserves to go and play. Sticking on loan moves, and something that Matt Law said that did surprise me, he checked himself before he came out with it, but he says, no, I don't think I'll be betraying any confidence by saying this, so it's a serious piece of information, but apparently Fikayo Tomori is pretty desperate to leave Chelsea on loan this season. What? And I think that is regardless to the fact if Chelsea get rid of Rüdiger or loan Rüdiger or not, which is really interesting because he knows he's held in a high regard at Chelsea Football Club, Fikayo Tomori, but regardless, he's like, no, let me go somewhere to play an entire season in the Premier League and let me come back and just be a starter. I don't want to be a second thought, I don't want to be a rotational player, I want to be a starter. So his burning desire to leave on loan isn't because he wants to get away from Chelsea. Ultimately, it's because he wants to just be closer to Chelsea, ultimately, if that makes sense. Which I guess is good, right? He wants to be a starter, he has the ability to. Many Chelsea fans would say, well, start him now, he's good enough. But, you know, we as Chelsea fans don't know the entire picture, and perhaps Chelsea have designed as a club to loan him out, have him start every game, bring him back as a starter, while they do something else like play Zuma and Thiago Silva, you know, both speaking French. That might make a lot of sense. Do you know what I mean? So maybe that ultimately is the plan, and then bring, you know, Thiago Silva's not going to last forever. He's 1 or 2 year contract. Bring Tomori in to replace Thiago Silva. Speculative, just saying, giving you my thoughts, mate. Alright, so let's move on to Antonio Rudiger, and this story blows my mind a little bit. Apparently, Tottenham are very, very interested in signing Antonio Rudiger. He's not their first choice, but he's very close as their second choice centre-back target. They recognise that Chelsea don't really fancy him at the moment, and like many people that aren't involved with Chelsea, everyone seems to think Rudiger is an amazing centre-half, which perhaps the coaches at Chelsea aren't necessarily so sure of, and certainly us Chelsea fans that have watched him all last season, we've seen massive flaws in his game in a senior centre, but he's not a kid, Antonio Rudiger. He was meant to be the senior centre half, and we've seen major flaws. So that being said, I don't think many Chelsea fans would cry to see Antonio Rudiger go, but with selling him to Tottenham, I think there is a peculiar situation. Matt Law spoke about how with Rudiger at the moment, he'd have to sign an extension before he goes on loan. That's the Chelsea rule, unless they just sell him. I think Tottenham are prepared to pay up to £20 million for Rudiger. Would Chelsea sell Tony Rudiger for £20 million to Tottenham? Are they strengthening a rival? I mean, he is in his prime. Could Jose Mourinho get a tune out of him defensively? He's a big, strong personality. Obviously, he won the Europa League with Chelsea starting. Could he be good at Tottenham? Would Chelsea take the risk? Would they see a player that, no, he's not really working for us, we see his flaws, and we're willing to sell him for some money and potentially give that problem to a rival? Or are they giving a player to a rival that essentially strengthens them? I don't know. It's all very well saying, yeah man, get rid of him, free money, we've got new guys, but to be honest, I've got nothing against Tony Rudiger. Great character, had some great moments. Honestly, I wouldn't put him in the centre-back partnership myself, but then if you say, alright Jan, you sell him, would you sell him to Tottenham? To Jose Mourinho's Tottenham? I'd think, oh no, you know, it poses a new question. I'm not entirely sure how to reflect and feel about that, but certainly the stories at the moment are a lot of outgoing links. There's the Emerson and Alonso stories. Who's more out of favour with Frank Lampard at the moment? Who's most likely to be sold? And the answer is, it's not about Emerson's poor performance. It's not about Alonso falling out with Frank Lampard, wanting to sit on the bus and then getting the hairdryer treatment. It's more about whoever comes in for either. If someone comes in for one, offers a decent amount of money, Chelsea will sell them and most likely keep the one that remains. Whether that's Emerson or Alonso, they'll remain. They'll have to be professional and then play whenever called upon to play. Do you know what I mean? So we'll have to see what happens there. Anyway, I'm really keen to get your thoughts and opinions on the stories I've spoken about today, the outgoings, the loans, etc. Hey, the England call-ups, whatever you feel like, man. Get down into the comment section below and express your thoughts and opinions on the subject. Please do drop a like on the video to show your support to your boy Jan here on Football Therapy, and of course, if you want to, subscribe if you're new and join the revolution. Other than that, man, you can check out my Twitch channel. I'm streaming most days FIFA 20, soon to be FIFA 21. It's a good laugh, man, so come hang out, twitch.tv/YansYard. That's it from me. Enjoy the football, and I'll see you later.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy talk. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought. Body bag the verse, outlined in chalk. In my life seen trouble, hustle on the double. Silence on the trigger like my pick got a muzzle. Yo, chick like to guzzle, bad boy stay in trouble. I only love this paper, sorry I don't. I laugh me, baby.